everyone, it's Hayes. In today's video we're going to be doing the commentary / analysis for episode 8 of Miraculous Ladybug season 5 reunion. Before I go any further, I'm about to spoil the whole episode for you, so I will try my best but I make no promises to try and find some links where you can watch it. If there are any, they will be in the description box, but if the description box has none, it's because they are really cracking down on copyright this season. It's very difficult to find them at the minute. If you're wondering where I'm watching it, I have a VPN and I'm watching it live on TF1, the more legal way to watch the episodes. And secondly, please, if you've read the show Bible or seen any of the leaks, please do not comment below any of those spoilers for me or other people to read. I haven't read the show Bible or seen the majority of the leaks, and a lot of people watch me because they also don't want to know about it. They want to have a spoiler-free experience of the show. And when I say spoiler-free, I mean only the spoilers like Gloob and the official channel release, stuff like that. So yeah, let's get into it. Oh my god. I loved this episode. It's very different really to any other episode I think we've seen, but it had so many good moments in it, and usually I'm not the biggest fan of, well, I was about to say it was a non-Love Square episode. It was and it wasn't really. Like, there were very few Love Square moments between Marinette and Adrian, or Ladybug and Cat Noir, or whatever version of the square. But it was still about the Love Square. Obviously it was done in a very different way through Joan of Arc, but I still loved it. I'm gonna give it, maybe I'm just being far too generous with these high scores, but literally I think apart from Destruction, I think so far Destruction has been by far the worst episode. And it's not just been like, oh, it was a bit worse than the other ones, like it's been by far the worst. I hated it, to be honest. I know I was really generous, I gave it a 7 in my video for it. It's now a 5. I really didn't like it. But anyway, I'm gonna give this episode a solid 10 out of 10. Oh my god, it was amazing. I love the idea. I want to marry the concept of this episode. They executed it to absolute perfection. So if you didn't like this episode, bestie, you're probably not going to get on so well with this video because most of what I have to say is just praise. It's just praise. So if you didn't like it that much, you're probably not really going to agree with what I've got to say in this video, but that's fine if you don't agree with me. Besties don't always agree, but besties always respect each other's opinions. But like when I was watching it live, like I can speak some French, so I understood bits and pieces, but when I watched it live, I felt so immersed in it. Do you know when you just get so into watching something, like you're not thinking about anything else, you're not distracted by anything else? A lot of times I am distracted by other things, and like I've got a PhD to do, I get quite busy, I do end up thinking about a lot of things. But after like the first 5 minutes of this episode, I was in it. I was so disappointed when it ended, and I've literally just finished translating the episode. I loved it when I watched it live before I knew exactly what was going on, and I love it even more now. It was a 10 out of 10 before the translation. It's now like a 12 out of 10. Oh my, I love this. I wasn't expecting to love this episode as much as I did. So good! I thought it was amazing. So let's just talk about it together. I'm sorry if you didn't like the episode, but I heckin' loved it. Oh my god. Maybe it's also because, I don't think I've ever really said this before, just because never really had to, but I actually really love Joan of Arc, and so yeah, I just thought this episode was executed to absolute perfection. Like, they did a great job with the determination, they did a great job with jubilation, they did a great job with passion, but oh my word. This episode was so good! Okay, so first question, why on earth was Marinette just wandering around the Louvre, like looking at past Ladybug holders? She was like, yeah, me just being here is gonna generate some advice for me from past Ladybug holders who might be in love with Cat Noir. It was kind of funny though. Like honestly, there was a lot of comic relief in this episode, which after some of the episodes we've got, like Passion yesterday, even though it wasn't really anything sad to do with the Love Square, I felt like we needed a bit of kind of comic relief because it was a bit of a heavier episode, and as we found out more about Natalie and how she's feeling and she's getting iller and stuff, so I think we definitely needed this episode because, oh god, determination has still made me sad, jubilation still sad, I'm just sad all over. Like I am sad about this episode as well, but it was more of like a, like by the end of it, it was more like a bittersweet feeling. We'll get to the end when we get to the end of it. We'll actually do this in chronological order. So while I was Marinette just wandering around there, just looking for advice, that was great. But I like that Tiki finally told Marinette what it was for. I do wonder why Tiki didn't tell her that back in Befana in season 2. Why wait till now? I don't know. I mean, if I was Marinette, especially after Master Fu left, you know, I'd want some advice from other people who knew what they were doing, who had done this before. I'd I'd want that. So I'm a bit confused why Tiki didn't tell her earlier than this, but I still thought it was great, to be honest. It's not enough to make me hate it. Then we go to the kitchen scene with the new Agreste family. So cute, they're all having a great time, Gabriel and Natalie speaking in sync with each other. It was wonderful. And then Gabriel, so like when Adrian gets the text, like, oh, we're doing this thing for Alex at the Louvre. And Gabriel's like, oh, Alex sent a letter to her dad from the future. How touching. I bet on the inside he was absolutely seething with anger. I bet he was like, oh no, he's not having it. I bet he wasn't happy. And I was slightly disappointed that after Adrian left the kitchen that Natalie didn't body slam Gabriel against the floor or something. I did expect the kitchen had turned into some sort of WWE arena. So I was a bit sad about that, to be honest. Also though, when they get to the museum, so maybe this is a French thing, I did try and Google it when I was watching the episode, but I didn't quite get it. So I know there's that stuff with like in Origins and in Strike Back, that when like the thunder claps or whatever, it's like love at first sight. Did this like lightning touch have anything to do with that, or was that just like to zoom in that Adrian and Marinette had accidentally touched hands? Because I feel like they could have just done that without having to put lightning on it, you know what I mean? Like they didn't need to, like we could probably work out that as they pass the card between them they touch hands or whatever. I don't know, but maybe that's just a French thing that I'm missing. I did try to Google it, but I don't think I was quite Googling the right thing in my defence. But anyway, and then Marinette afterwards and Adrian's like, do you want to go to cinema? And she's like, whoa, calm down. I was like, amazing. So now let's move on to the akumatization. I thought the setup in this episode was great. Like, I don't think this video is going to be super long. Like she says, and that'd be 40 minutes long. I don't have that many notes. I only have a page and a half. I usually write 2 full pages. I only have a page and a half. And actually for yesterday's video, I had 2.5 pages. But anyway, so Jalil, I was really expecting him actually to get akumatized due to jealousy, because like the whole family seemed to be like obsessed with history. I thought that was the reason he was going to be akumatized, but I'm actually much happier that it ended up being about like out of worry and love for his sister. That was really cute. And I did theorise, I believe, in my Strike Back commentary video, although that could be a lie because it was so long ago I don't remember, that I did theorise that some people would maybe be against Ladybug because of what had happened. Not everyone likes superheroes and superhero stuff, like in Spider-Man, not everyone's a big fan of Spider-Man or whatever. So I had wondered if that had happened, and I am quite glad it has happened, but for it to be taken another step further and for Jalil to be part of like online, some sort of like pro-monarch movement, like it's just like downright bizarre. Like it's been almost a year in the Miraculous universe, almost a year of this man terrorising the city, and all of a sudden because of what happened there's an uprising saying like, I think the line was something like, a monarch wants to make a wish to like make the world better, and I'm like, where have you got the information from? No one has ever said that. No one knows what this man, apart from himself and Natalie, other than those two, no one knows what this man's wish is going to be. That only Gabriel and Natalie know. So where on earth have you got the information from for a start? But then for them to be like, oh, Ladybug and Cat Noir don't want them to take them because they won't get to do what they do anymore, like bizarre. But I was just like, I honestly, like with the kind of world we live in, I also could see it happening though. I don't think it's too far-fetched. So whilst Alim, I believe we finally learned Alex's dad's first name, Alim and Jalil go and talk about whatever, Marinette goes off with Alia, and obviously Alia can't see what's going on, and Alia's face the whole time Marinette's just stood there seemingly talking to herself, and Alia's like, yep, that's her, my best friend, she is crazy. She was so funny. Even though Alia didn't do a great deal in this episode, just some of Alia's facial expressions recently have been so funny. She's been great. So now let's briefly talk about the Akuma. It was very strange in that it was like, I mean obviously at the end there was a fight, but the rest of it wasn't fight based. It was like a quiz, basically a history quiz. I would have done terribly on it. History is not my strongest subject. I would have done badly. But it did actually remind me of an episode of Doctor Who. I can't remember what the episode name was, but it had like, it was one where Martha was the assistant with David Tennant as the doctor, and they were on this spaceship and it was getting really hot, and in order to get to like the centre of the ship, to like the controls to stop it from being hot. As they went along, they had to solve questions and stuff, and at one point Martha gets her phone out and gets her mum to Google it, because this was set ages ago and people didn't really have Google on their phone at this point. But it reminded me of that episode, and I really like that episode, Doctor Who, so I really enjoyed it, although some of the questions were a bit ridiculous. However, I do understand the point. Like, the whole thing was that Jaleel wanted to see his sister again because he believed that Ladybug was using her or whatever, so he had to ask a question that was from the future. It was like, what was the weather like 200 years from now or whatever. So that was really cool. So I really like the whole concept of it, the way it was structured, and with the way protection was used as well, the turtle power, and how Monarch was like, this is perfect, this is not going to fail. Loved it so much. Although I was a bit like what when Cat Noir and Ladybug got worried. So he does the cataclysm and she goes to grab the book, but they cast protection again and she can't get it, and they're both like, oh no. But then at the start of evolution, Cat Noir just gets his baton out, absolutely whacks a living daylight out of the protection around the Monarch butterfly thingies. It's fine, so couldn't he just do that? I don't know. And then just in general, Joan of Arc, she was awesome in this. I was a bit unsure about it at first because in Ephemeral, I know she only had like what, one line in Ephemeral, she came across as really brash and kind of angry, but she was actually really lovely in this and also really funny. And like when Marinette's first talking to her, she's like, you brought me back to ask me for boy advice. This is ridiculous. And then when she finally sees Cat Noir, she was like, this is him, this is the boy. He's far too skinny. Amazing. We stand Joan of Arc in this house. And I love as well, like, I'm sorry, this is all praise. I don't really have anything negative to say apart from that cataclysm thing. I love the whole plan to, first of all, answer the question of what the weather was like 200 years from now with Alex, and so Alex wouldn't be seen by anyone. Amazing. And I love the way we got to see all the different time periods, so like in the near future where Alex seems to be, and then like the far future and stuff like that. And also Alex looks so cute as Bunnix. I will never get over how adorable she looks. Like, older Bunnix is cute and all, but teenage Bunnix, so cute. And I also loved how in the end it was all solved with a question where Ladybug was like, well, if you think I'm so terrible, ask the book. Am I telling the truth? The book will let you know. And then Jaleel breaks out of it, and it was just amazing. It was such a well-structured episode. Like I said, I got fully immersed in it. I didn't feel at any point they were rushing. Had a solid structure, solid story, solid character, solid dialogue. It was solid. Oh my god, such a good episode. I love it. And then also, little love square moment where after Jaleel like akumatizes the pharaoh, has been holding Cat Noir, he just yeets him across the room, and Ladybug's like, oh, Cat Noir, and he's like, I'm fine, I got this. I was like, yeah. I have too many feelings about the show. And then, oh my god. So obviously Gabriel fails. He de-transforms, goes back downstairs, and he just opens the door to Natalie's room. They don't even really look at each other. Like, she's kind of like a side glance towards the door. They don't make eye contact though because of where he stood. And he just goes, I am sorry. And then Natalie just turns back to her computer like, oh. What a queen! Even though Natalie probably only had like, what, 2 lines, and they were all in the kitchen scene at the start of the episode. She slayed that scene. Oh my god, she was amazing. But then the ending, it was rather bittersweet how Joan of Arc like retold the story, and like I said, I really liked Joan of Arc, so I was familiar with it. But as it went on and as I translated it to get what it was really going on, I was like, oh, you lived happily ever after, because to me it seemed that's what she was implying. But I was like, no, if you don't know about Joan of Arc. So the English captured her and we killed her. So I know she definitely didn't have a happy ending, but I'd like to think she did because of everything she gave up. Like, she was only like, what, like 17 years old when she went to help out the army and stuff. So I hate the fact that we killed her. Not that I was alive at the time, it was centuries ago and could have done anything to stop it, even if I had been alive probably. But I still feel sad about it because it was just like, what? I really dislike the feud between British people and French people. Like, sometimes I do find it funny, but also at the same time, after some of the experiences I've had, mainly in Paris, not so much the rest of France, hasn't been so nice. But anyway, it was just kind of bittersweet, but I was like, oh, you were in love with him. I was dying. I need a spin-off show for the two of them. I don't care if it's historically accurate. I just want it. It sounded adorable. I am an absolute sucker for enemies to lovers. When these two people who hate each other for so much, for whatever reason, I don't care what the reason is, but end up falling in love with each other. Thomas Asterisk. Please, I will help you write it, okay? I will write it with you. You know what, I'll just write it for you. Shall I just do an audio fic about Joan of Arc? It will be the most historically inaccurate thing you have ever read in your life. But I will do it. I mean, to be fair, does it matter though? Because they mention dragons in it. Dragons don't exist. Second of all, the Miraculous are in it. Miraculous also don't exist. So I guess it doesn't really matter if it's historically accurate or not, but I loved it. And then obviously Tiki came in and she was like, actually no, it didn't go like that, she didn't get a happy ending. This isn't the real Joan of Arc, this is just a memory, this is just what she hoped would happen. And I was like, okay, that's sad. I understand because I already knew what happened to her, we killed her. But I was like, oh okay. And then right at the end Marinette was like, if I want to be with Cat Noir, we gotta give up our Miraculouses. And to that I say no. There has to be a modern solution to this problem. I will not accept that. You have to be Ladybug and Cat Noir dating, but also the other person, like it's, you can do it. You can do it. I will not accept no. Friends, there has to be a way around this. There has to be, and I will have a think about it because there has to be, and I will make a video on it when I've worked it out because there has to be. However, I do feel like very vindicated. I had an idea a while ago and I actually started writing it where I kind of started writing about like past Miraculous holders, like the Ladybug and Cat Miraculous, and how they were always in love with each other but never got to be together because it always ended in tragedy. And in the end, in the fanfiction, I never properly finished it but I had like a brief plan for it, Adrian and Marinette would ultimately have to give up their Miraculouses so they could be together. And it was really sad and upsetting. I don't know why I started writing it because I don't like being upset. I mean, who does like being upset? But then oh my god, the ending. Plague. So Adrian, he's just sat in bed, minding his own business, staring at pictures of Marinette, and then Plague spits on it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm glad he finally got the name of the Quagatama, the thing, I don't know how to say it. I'm glad Adrian's finally got one. But did you really just... You could have at least told him. I know Tiki didn't tell Marinette explicitly in Bafana that she was going to spit on her, but at least Marinette was expecting something to happen. Adrian was minding his own business, and then his Kwame just comes along and spits on him. But anyway, I hope there's going to be an episode where Adrian gets to talk to past Black Cat Miraculous holders. That'll be really cool, see if they can give him advice instead. I'm not sure where that would fit, if it's going to happen this season. I don't know, but it would be so cool if we got the same episode for him, because so far I feel like not all, but a lot of Adrian's writing this season has been better than what we've seen so far in previous seasons. So yeah, 10 out of 10. I love this episode, even though we didn't have any like explicit love square moments in it, apart from maybe like tiny couple ones. I love that it was still about the love square, but it explored Joan of Arc, who I love Joan of Arc, so that probably definitely played into my enjoyment of this episode. The MVP obviously goes to Joan of Arc. She was awesome in this episode, like I said before. I absolutely love Joan of Arc. Had to go to her. I ended up liking her a lot more than I expected I would in this episode because, like I said, in Ephemeral she was quite like brash and slightly rude, but she only really got one line. So I'm glad we got to see more of her. I would hope that Marinette maybe goes back to the Louvre and talks more to maybe some of the other holders. That would be cool, but I don't mind if she only talks to Joan of Arc because I really like Joan of Arc. Jo would be really, really cute. I don't know if it would work like this, but if, assuming the Black Cat Miraculous holders are also at the Louvre and they have the guardian symbol on them, if Cat Noir unlocks, oh what was he called, whatever Joan's counterpart was called, he had a bit of a strange name so I can't quite remember it now, and Marinette unlocks Joan of Arc again and maybe they get to talk to each other. I don't know if that's possible because like obviously only Ladybug could see her, so maybe that wouldn't work at all, but that would be so cute. I'd love if they did that in a future episode. Anyway besties, I rambled far too much. I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. 10 out of 10. MVP was obviously Joan of Arc. She was amazing. I'd love to know what you all thought about this episode, besties, and once again apologies if I haven't replied to your comments under the fashion video. There are a lot of comments and I stayed up until 11:30 trying to reply to them, so I was very tired when I woke up this morning, and tonight I also have class at university, so that's going to take even less time away from me being able to reply to comments, so apologies in advance if I haven't replied to your comment yet. I'm not ignoring you, I'm just busy. doing all of this. So I'd love to know what you thought of the episode, besties, and I will see you in the next one.